Hello there! So this is a follow-up video for my previous full run with some updated paths after the patch. If you can't tell already, this isn't live commentary because I wanted to cut out all the traveling and cutscenes in the game. So this goes straight to the meat where you're basically running for your life. If you're doing this, you're probably also going for Messiah, so I'll just remind you now to not reload your camera and try to use it sparingly. But it is worth noting that since the patch, the microphone on the camera doesn't use up your batteries. And just a couple notes here. One is that while all the clips here are from the same insane Messiah run, there is one sequence in the Scalled chapter where I use an extra nightmare clip to show you a preferred method. And the second is just that this video will basically assume that you are fairly familiar with the game already, so I'm not including some of the really straightforward parts like the river or jumping where you could technically die. Anyway, here we go with the crash. This is a change with the patch. Normally you would spawn Marta right here and run behind your house, but now it seems that she is just gone when you get back here. So after you've confirmed that she's not chasing you, you can just run on by to the crawl space. The next section is pretty close after this. You'll know it by the window here. Once you go through, the sequence starts, so speed through your prompts and go ahead and go out the door. You're going to run down the street, and at the end of the street you're going to make a wide left turn to avoid the guy on the street. Once you reach the light here, you are safe. So here's the next sequence where Lynn is taken, and once you have control of Blake again, you'll be wandering dazed in the dark, so just head on forward. Enemies can spawn behind you here, but they're very slow, so they shouldn't really be a big worry.
God. Fuck were they?
Now what I do here is I just stick to the right side.
They called Lynn.
I'm going to start by getting behind this building and peeking on the guy crossing the little plank bridge. And once he speeds up, you know you're good to start moving. So there he goes, striding away. So we're just going to walk on by and into the water. And the second guy out in the water is very slow. So once you get up onto land, you're good to just run into the building. And the next part is once you get to the field. About halfway through this little area, enemies will spawn behind you, so just carry on forward. When you get into the field, it's a very straight run, and then you're going to take a right, and that's going to lead you to a little box you can walk up and over a fence. Now, shortly after this, you're going to get to this barn door. So just open it on up. The enemies won't spawn until you actually get a little ways in. So we're going to head over to the right side of the barn and get under this wagon. Now a whole bunch of things can happen here. I have actually been spotted here before by the flashlight guy. I believe it was by him. I think the way around this is by keeping the tire on the wagon here in between you and the guy with the flashlight so it doesn't shine on you. And then the guy in the hat won't spot you. So the guy in the hat's gonna walk out. Typically he goes in the back and out the window. And typically the guy with the flashlight will go out the front door. Once he's out the front door, you're good to move to the box. But alternatively, sometimes the guy in the back can walk out the front door too, and sometimes the guy with the flashlight can go into the hallway. But either way, once they are either out the front door or in the hallway, you're good to go push the box. So here this is a little rare for me anyway. Here he is going into the hallway, and once he's in there a little ways, I'm gonna start moving the box. Sometimes they'll spot you right here, but as long as you make it up, you should be good. Next, for the Temple Gate Town Square, after you pass this lady on the street, a little ways up they will start spawning. So keep on running. You'll see a guy in the doorway, just quickly pass him to the right, and you're going to want to stay behind this wagon wheel. The third guy is going to walk down the stairs, and he should go to the other side of the wagon. So just keep him out of sight and wait till he walks around the other side of the wagon, and you are good to go up the stairs. Sometimes they'll be chasing you here, and if you go up the stairs, they'll just stop chasing you. I haven't tested that a lot, but that seems to be what happens with me.
That's gotta be it. If I can find my
So after you start the generator here, the first thing to note is to not back up, because this lady will be standing there. So right now you're just gonna wait until she gets into place, and you're gonna walk behind her. It's very dark. The people on the street should all be gone. You can see a guy running away right now because Marta is about to come for you. So what I do here is first make sure I have enough sprint. And when I know I'm good, I'm going to start walking towards the stairs. And then I'm going to keep my eye out for Marta spawning down the street. And when I see she's spawned and triggered, I'm going to back up. Just like this. And when I see that she's climbing the stairs, then I know I'm good to go down the street. Once you get up to the elevator, make sure you press the button as fast as you can because she is right behind you probably. Now right after finishing the music box sequence here, you're going to be kicked into a chase sequence. And then once you have control again, the chase is on. It's a pretty simple one. It starts by going through a door, and then into the next house and through another door. Once you're in this room, you're going to wrap around it from the left to the right, and you're going to go into a little space you crouch into. Typically I never use my camera through these parts because the guys with flashlights light up the path enough. And they're pretty straight paths. This is leading to a change since the patch. After you get out of the house here, you're going to head to the lit up door there. And you can go straight into the gap, you don't need to close the door. Now in this room with the beds, you're going to want to pick a bed to hide under. I think you can go to any of the beds, this is just the one I picked this time. So right now we're going to wait for this gentleman to pass us by. And once he has passed, I wait until he turns the corner, normally. We're going to run down the stairs. Normally you'd trigger a guy by just looking down the stairs, but in this case we're going to actually go into the room and hide under the next bed. The second guy will come out of the room like this. Sometimes he'll close the door, but it's no worries there. Once he's out of the basement, once he turns, you're good to go. And then you're going to close and lock the door. And then just push the shelf like normal. Once you start pushing the shelf, they always trigger. And the door always the shelf also closes every time you go through it also. So now further along in this chase sequence, once you go through this door in the dark hallway, they're gonna call you out. So just run on upstairs and under a gap. Here's a pretty straight path as well. You're just gonna head over this fence, and then around the corner will be a guy standing next to a crawl space, so just head on under it. This is another very straight path. Now, it is worth noting that I like to have a bandage ready for this sequence because you can get stabbed sometimes while you're running here, especially in this shed. To avoid it in this shed, once you hop through the window, you want to stand in the center of the shed before you start interacting. And then the place you're going is right in front of you on the ground. They start stabbing all over the shed, which is why you want to be in the middle of it. After you get into this little field, you can crawl right into the basement. And I'm including this bit because it is possible to avoid damage here. What I did there was sprint out the side towards where you're headed. I tried to sprint along the rooftop as long as I can, and then sometimes that seems to avoid taking damage. And that is the point where I'd also have a bandage ready. There is one ahead that I'm going to show you too. But if you were hurt before you did that jump and you fell and took damage again, then it would end your run. So that's something to keep in mind. Once you go down this street, here's the room with the bandage, and we're going to come back to this room for this sequence. So keep that space in mind, and also keep in mind the crawl space there next to the wagon. We're going to use that first. So once you're ready, start pushing the wagon, and Marta's going to spawn to your right. You'll see her. Once she does, back up into the crawl space and just stand up on the other side. And she will always pass to the left and around the corner. You don't want to be crouched there too close, or she can pull you out. If you're standing, you should be good. So next you're going to go back to the wagon, and she'll bust the fence down just like that. And when she does, you're going to turn right around to the room with the bandage and wait on the corner here. Now here I've seen her do a whole bunch of things. She strafes to the left, she strafes to the right in front of your doorway. What you're looking for her to do is actually walk into the bandage room. Once she is actually in the bandage room, you're good to go. There she is, into the room, so you're going to turn away. Just follow this path here, around the outside. And you want to go as fast as you can back to the wagon to start pushing it again. At this point, she shouldn't catch up to you before you reach the fence. Sometimes she'll spot you. Normally she'll spot you just before you get there. But that's normal. So now this next part starts after the cutscene in the chapel. After Blake calls out the mines, you're gonna head on down out the front doors. Now this part is all about speed. I don't know if you saw in my other run, I did it a completely different way. That's still works now, but it's too risky to recommend now. This way works every time now. So you're just gonna sprint on down as fast as you can, straight line to this door. Open it so that it's gap sized, head on through, and then just carry on. You're gonna go around the corners here, open up the door, and head up to the water tower. And sometimes you will be out of sprint when you reach the water tower, and you want to keep that in mind for when you get to the top and you make this jump. Just be sure that you make this jump. Enemies will be triggered after you go through this door, so be sure you have your sprint ready. Although we won't be sprinting initially. We're going to go on through the window and hug the left fence the whole way up the fields. Sometimes enemies will walk up pretty close to the fence, but I have never had a problem walking this way, even when they are really close. When they get close is basically when I start sprinting. And another thing that can happen, and why I'm combining this with the next little sequence, is that sometimes they can be following you when you leave the field. You might see them at the end of the field, and they'll call you out and start chasing you then. And if that happens, this next sequence changes a little bit. See right there, he was very, like you could see his light, but he didn't start chasing, so I know I'm okay. Either way, you want to close the door you went into and shut it, lock it. You're going to pick up the crank, and I believe that when you pick up the crank is when the enemies will be triggered to go into this building regardless. But if you're not being chased, just leave the second door open and go turn the crank. If you are being chased, you'll want to shut all the doors and hide behind the barrel over there in the corner. But hopefully you won't be being chased and you can do it like this.
That should do the trick.
After cranking it, you're just going to run right through the door and into the crawl space, under the wheel. Once you get into the space, the enemies will be triggered to chase you again, but just carry on through and you should have plenty of time. It's a left out the door, into the slide where Marta is. Now we're going to trigger Marta to get out of her little corner. So I'm standing in a safe place and I'm going to step forward until she spawns. Once she starts talking, you know you're good to go back up. Here what we're doing is waiting for her to get out of your path. I like to wait in this crawl space because it seems like a good place to go if she started chasing me. Because she'd have to bust down the door, and then you could just go through the crawl space and around anyway.
Jesus, don't you ever quit?
There I went to go peek where she was. I just didn't wait long enough. I saw that she was still on the path, walking. Sometimes she'll walk into the field. Other times she'll walk right in front of you here. Either way, once you are good there and you don't see her anymore, just head on where she came from. And you're looking for a gap in the fence, and once you get through the gap, you are safe again. So after you get the hook and you get to this point again on your way back, you can just run by, make sure you have full sprint, and you can run by where she's busting the door down. Once you get in this room, after installing the hook, as fast as you can, you want to pull the chain behind you twice, and then you can go through the opening that you made. Crouched a couple extra times. That was not intentional. Okay, now we're in the Scalled camp. This is the first part of the Scalled, where it's very simple. You just don't want to be approaching people. In the start, I hug the right side and go through this little choke point, and you'll always get vommed on here. In this next part, right before the fire, a guy is going to start running down the hill right in your path, so you can just run on by to this tree and wait for him to pass. And then just head on through. Make sure you're not getting grabbed. Don't get too close. And this is going to lead to the next part of the Scalled, which I kind of goof up on here. So I'm going to show you this example of where I don't do it great, and then I'm going to show you another method that I actually recommend doing. So here, I tried to hide in this grass, which I had tested a bunch and it kept working, so I thought I was good. But in this instance, he kind of started walking into the grass, which sort of freaked me out. So I decided to run for it and hide again. And you'll see this works out for me. I do make it, but I can't recommend doing it this way because it's much too risky. But the idea is the same. Nick and Laird are going to walk in the back corner here, and once they are in the back corner, actually in the alternate, you're just going to wait till they pass the tent. But for me, once I saw that they were turned around, I knew I was probably safe to just go ahead. So that's what I did, and it did work out. So this kind of shows that you can improvise your way when mistakes are made. Sometimes. Here's the preferred method. That's the tent you're going to run to. Once you trigger them, you want to run right to the back of the tent and crawl into it. And you want to do that immediately. You don't want to go into the grass and then crawl into the tent. You want to go directly into the tent. If you go into the grass, he'll spot you and pull you out of the tent. So here, we're just going to crawl out when he passes the tent, and you should always have enough time to make it to where you came from. And then here you're just going to wrap around to the left to the crawl space. So this next section starts after you're crucified and you get down. So you're all hazy again, you need bandages. This part has changed slightly with the patch, but I always do it the same way and it seems to be safe for me. I start by crouching into the tall grass, and I stay crouched the entire time. You're gonna head over to this little nest here and grab the bandage. Now before, if you would have uncrouched, I haven't tested this out, but if you would have stood up here, people in the other camp would have spotted you over where you're headed now, and it would have triggered a guy to chase you into the log. I don't know that that happens at all anymore, because now when you get to the other side of the log, that guy is just gone. But I know crouching the whole way until you're out of the log is safe, so I would stick with that. So after you heal your boo-boos, you're going to go up the cliff, and then you're going to head down a little ledge right here. And in this area, there will be a dude in the tent next to you who you just don't want to grab you, and then another guy with a flashlight who comes out of a house. You want to head in the direction where that guy is right now, so I always wait for him to walk to the left a little bit. So right now I'm just peeking behind the tree, waiting for him to head that direction. And he is slow, so if you're chased, it's not a big issue. You're just gonna wrap around to the right and look for the cliff here. Now this is another new part, but it's changed just to be very easy. Normally, Nick and Laird would spawn here and shoot that guy who was chasing you, but it just doesn't happen anymore, and you're free to just run to this log. Once you get to the top, that is back to normal. So you're gonna dip out down into the water here, and Nick and Laird will come around from the right, and when they do, you want to be sure you are hiding under the water. This always takes a minute. It looks like they're walking away for a moment, but they're just kind of being a little tricky. You won't see the light at all anymore when they're gone. So the light's gone now, indicating that you are good to go. So just head out of the water. They're pathing over there to the left, so you're going to go to the right and grab your camera out of this house.
Goddamn vultures. How many corpses did you pick over?
Now here is the spot you're going to run to for reference, right here. But you're going to start by going down to where the phone is. And I take my camera out so I don't get messed around when I turn around. Once you get the music, you know you're good to turn around. Head back down to the point where I started here, at the end of this hallway. Once all the textures and stuff are gone, you know you're safe to proceed. I think he just runs down the hallway. So here in the next bit, shortly after this, after the phone calls you some names, you're going to head back out to the hallway with the bathroom. Once you see the bathroom, that's where he's gonna spawn again. So just start heading down the hallway and go into the locker Jessica leads you to. Now here, once you leave the locker, there are going to be 3 scripted arrows that always fire, so be sure you avoid these 3. I triggered the last one by backing up into the hallway a little bit. I always grab the bandage and head out the window. And right now I'm heading back to the far left corner of this big area. I'm basically heading far away from Nick. This is actually the house you pick up the camera in. So I always chill behind this rock for a while. And what I'm doing is just making sure that Nick and Laird are pushed away from where you want to run and closer to you right now. You will see them walk over to the right. It's very dark, but you can see them moving. You can see their shadow moving. Once they are a good distance to the right, you're going to just start running around back to the left and head to the exit. So I saw that they were close enough, and now I'm going to start running that direction. Now I mess up a little bit here, which should show that it's not a huge deal if you do, but be sure to avoid this barbed wire. You can crouch under it, and for the second barbed wire fence, you can just go around it. Kind of messed it up there, but one hit doesn't kill you. So after going across this fence here, or the cliff rather, I'm gonna heal up first and then head across the log. I believe you move slower if you're damaged. Once you get a little ways across the log, they will be firing at you, so you just want to hurry your way behind cover. And we're going to do the same trick a bunch. What you're going to do is place and identify where Nick is, and then pop out so that he shoots at you. And once he shoots at you, you run to the next cover. Once you get in this little area, you just hug the left side and climb the cliff again. And here we start avoiding shots again. So get him to shoot at you, head behind the tree. Get him to shoot at you again, and then you're good to go. There's a bandage up here if you need it, and when you drop down, this guy is gonna grab you, so just shake him off. And after doing that, you just head on down the path into a slide, which starts the next little cutscene. Once you Pai-Mei yourself out of the grave, just stand up and start running forward, basically. There are some crawly dudes, some creepy crawlies in the tall grass you want to avoid. There's one there. And I believe the next 2 are on the left, so I'm going to go around the right side to avoid them, and under the crawl space. Now you're safe for a moment. Once you get into this room, it's going to trigger probably one of the tougher sequences in the game. I like to consider this and the next checkpoint just one when I practice it, so that I know where all the guys in this area are pathed. So you saw there I just ran straight away when I got out of the window, and I'm just staying on the left side, avoiding the guy behind the second house, all the way to where the rope is, climb up the rock, and here I'm gonna wait to get my sprint back. Now, I just mentioned this, but if you were to do this in Nightmare and you got a checkpoint here, then all their positions would reset for when the rope drops, so you wouldn't be getting a perfectly accurate example of how you'll get it in Insane. So that's why you kind of want to practice these 2 sequences back to back when you do them. What I do is, after I know I've got enough sprints and I drop the rope, I go immediately down to the rope and then straight to this window. Then open up the next window and Laird will stop shooting at you for some reason. Around the left side, and make sure you dodge anybody who's in your way there. Sometimes there will be no one in your way. There was just one guy, so I just went around him. Okay, now into the school roof sequence. You're gonna head down these stairs, and once you get to the bottom, the Lauder demon will spawn there. So you're gonna head back up, and he will spawn at the top. So then you want to head down the stairs. And interestingly enough here, I didn't know this at this time, but you don't actually have to hop off that railing. I thought you did because I thought the blood behind it was indicating that's what you needed to do, but you don't actually have to do that. You can just run down the stairs. So once you go down the hatch here, you're going to open a door and be in a hallway where you will be chased again. He comes from that side, from the right, so you want to head to the left and climb the ladder. Now I'm skipping a whole bunch here at the lake where you get knocked off the raft and get and you have to dislodge yourself, going straight to this part where you basically just need to sprint forward. Make sure you're not going into any of the enemies. They will all be chasing you. But you're good to go as long as you head towards the mine. And you'll get sucked out of the lake straight into the pool here. And you want to turn to the left or the right and head towards the side of the pool. This always takes a little bit. You want to flash your light so you can tell when the ledge is going to show up. Make sure you're going in a straight line here so that he doesn't get you. Now in the same sequence, once you go up these stairs and out the door there, you want to take a right and then another right. And once you open this door, he will stop chasing you. In the next school sequence, the computer lab, once you see the Jesus statue above the stairs here, you'll know you're about to be chased again. So go trigger him and then just go out the door on the right. Okay, now this part can be pretty tricky, so I definitely recommend practicing this one in Nightmare. Once you get to the crawl space and the guy triggers, you're going to run back into the room you started in and hide behind this desk. There are actually two enemies here. One of them will go away with enough time, but you want to make sure you actually do wait enough time. So the first guy I think just goes through your crawl space, and he's gonna linger around the room a little bit. The second guy just busted the door down. The second guy is gonna walk back through the door he busted, up the stairs, and I'm pretty sure he just despawns. The first guy is gonna wander into your room, and right now I'm peeking to see when he comes in. So I'm waiting for him to come in, and once I know he's in, then I'm gonna go ahead and make a run for it. Sometimes he'll chase you there, that's okay. I'm gonna wait and get my sprint up a little bit, just for safety's sake, but you really don't need to. Once you go up the stairs, you're gonna start by turning right into this area between the halls. I'm gonna wrap around, jump over some obstacles, up some more stairs. Now here you just want to make sure you know where you're going. As long as you're running here, you should be fine. Gonna keep on heading up and up over obstacles, and eventually you will go through a gap in the wall. Through the gap here, you want to start pushing the shelf out of the way immediately. And you're just avoiding that guy breaking down the window and getting you. Okay, so now we're in the library section. I just showed you him walk through the door. You don't want to approach him there or he will kill you. Right now I'm backing up. I just flashed my light on the door you started in, and I'm going through the closest entrance from the door you started in. So I'm just wrapping around here. Wrapping around the books till you get to this spot. This spot is where you're going to lead him back to, and you know you're close when you get to this battery. Right after the battery on the desk, you can spawn him to start chasing you. So there he is. So we're gonna head on back to this area with a little, so basically a little circle. You're gonna wait for him to get to you and then go around the circle where he came from under the crawl space. Now technically I think you're safe right here, but I'm just gonna go right into the next part where you trigger him again. You're gonna go into this room with the light. Make sure you have your sprint up. And when you're ready to go, step forward to trigger him. And on this part, you would definitely want to be able to flash your night vision so that you can tell where the books are on the side and you don't get caught on anything. Don't want to get caught here. Just gonna head all the way around to the left into this gap, and then you know that you're good. Now in the Blake Against the Machine section here, after you go through this gap and then under the crawl space, I believe you are triggered on time and some enemies will spawn down here, but they're not too fast, so you just need to keep on moving. You're gonna slide open the door, and then I always slide it shut too. Then you saw the little thing you can drag over here in the corner, so you're gonna start by dragging it. And you wanna do this quick. You're gonna drag it out and over the door here, where you can hop on over. Now get running around to the left, up the stairs, and then you're gonna do a drop down and have to crouch under this barricade. Stand back up and go out the stairs and keep on heading up. This is gonna lead to this little balancing section. Make sure you don't lose yourself over the beams. You can fall and get killed there. Just head on through as fast as you can, up the stairs and out of the window. Now this starts the next sequence immediately, so you need to be prepared here and you need to move fast. So once you see him on the stairs, you're going to turn around. And the correct direction is right. Don't go left like I just did. You're going to run on down the halls. This is going to be basically a straight shot down the halls, through the open door, and then through the next open door into the bathroom. You're going to go into the stall and close the door behind you once you get in. Once the priest starts singing to you, you know you're getting closer. You can actually see the textures on the ground getting closer to you. Once they do get closer, you're just gonna crawl back to the second stall, I believe. I stood up there on accident. It's not intentional either. So you're gonna go to the second stall and stand up before you open the door. And you want to start running immediately when you open the door. You'll need to be pretty quick here. You're gonna have to open this double door up. And what you're heading back to is the stairs that you started in. Once you get to the stairway door here, once you go through the door, you're gonna close it. That will buy you some time. Head on up the stairs and get your camera ready. In this hallway, I always flash my light to make sure I don't get caught on that trash can. It's a right turn there at the trash can. Through the next doors, another right turn, and then another right turn through the doorway. And here you're safe. So in this room, after climbing up, you'll be interacting with this little cart here. Once you do trigger the cart, that triggers enemies to come into your room, so you just want to be ready to head down. Once you head down, you want your night vision to be ready, and just turn right around. There's a guy behind that pillar you want to avoid, but it's basically a straight shot backwards to this crawl space. Just keep on crawling. You'll get to this ledge that you jump up, and then you'll continue to crawl. This will start the last part of King of the Hill when you trigger the elevator, so you want to get ready to move. Now right here, what you want to do is also not stop sprinting. Eventually you'll run out and be tired, and there's just nothing you can really do about that. There is one part that I do stop in to try and recover sprint, but I don't think it's actually necessary. You're going to go over and under some obstacles here and start climbing up the stairs. When I get to the top of the stairs, I believe I stop and wait till I see them, just to try and recover some sprint. Again, I don't know if you actually have to do that. So you're going to jump down here, and then there's going to be another drop to the bottom, and here is where you will be out of sprint. Just keep on holding forward, and you should make it. Make sure you go in a straight line to the elevator, and once you get in, it'll automatically start this elevator for you. Now here is after a drop down. You're going to get to this door and unlock it. This is the first sequence in the mines where you can die. You're going to see a guy drop down here, so let him go ahead and path into his room. We're going to avoid that room entirely. What you want to familiarize yourself with is this door I'm about to open, and go ahead and get it open for yourself. It's right after this light. It's right to the left of the light when you're running back. So right now we're going to run on down the hall and get ready to trigger the event. Make sure you have your sprint up. And once you pass or get close to the torch, it's going to spawn the guy around the corner to chase you. So turn on back down the hallway. You don't have to take your camera out there, that was a mistake on my part. Keep on running, and it's right to the left through past the light is the door you opened. Don't go too far into this room. If you go too far into the room, it'll trigger a second enemy, so you don't want that. Once you're good, what you want to do is pop out and make this guy chase you. I do it twice here and he doesn't chase me, but you'll hear the music go when you know that he's chasing you. Then you're finally going to run into the room and into the crack on the right side. Sometimes he'll chase you into the room and try and grab you out of the crack. Sometimes if you're fast enough, he won't. Just either way, keep on heading through and go to the other side. Now this is out in the hallway. Sometimes this guy will take a while, but he will always path to the left. Even if he tries to grab you here too, he will always eventually start walking to the left. And that's what you're looking for. You're just looking for him to pass you. Right there. There he was. And then you're going to go where he came from after that. You should be safe. This is going to lead all the way back to the minecart. Now this next sequence is pretty tough. I think it's changed slightly, but I don't know for sure. I may have just gotten lucky before. So Val's gonna, keep you hostage here, and eventually the rocks are gonna free you. You're gonna turn around and want to have night vision ready, but put your camera away. You want to run without your camera as long as you can. At the light here is gonna be a right, and then you're gonna run into the darkness for a second, pull out your camera so that you can see your left turn, and then immediately put your camera away and keep running straight. At the second light, there's another right, and then you'll be at a collapse. The collapse indicates that you are safe. Now down in the water here with the live wires, this section has definitely changed a little bit since the patch, but it is still pretty easy to do. You're just going to head on past the live wires into this corner with a barricade, and Val will pass you. And what you're going to do when she passes is, or maybe it's a he, I don't know. You're going to dive under the water here, under the barricade, and directly behind you will be switch number 1. And get familiar with this spot because I'm going to run back to this after triggering the next switch. I always hug the left side here so I don't break the light. But in the next room, the switch will be right across from you, behind this wall. There used to be an extra wall there, right where I walked through, there used to be a wall. It's not there anymore. So I don't hide there anymore. I actually go back out to where I waited the first time, but on the other side of the barricade. And I'm just waiting here in the dark, where I know I'm safe, getting ready to dive under. And once I see Val's light, I'm gonna dive under. And Val will pass you, and you will be good to continue to the tunnel that is now no longer dangerous. Once you go through it, you'll get to this ledge to jump to, and you will be good. Now here's another difficult part. Once you go down that ladder and into this hallway, you can see the crawl space down there. You want to sprint right to the crawl space and get started immediately. You don't want to slow down at all here. Any night vision you have here will be very useful. I flash it a lot to make sure that I'm not slowing down. You want to be sure that you are going in as straight a path as possible, so you don't like get your shoulders caught on the rock or something, have it slow you down. Now in this instance, I might have slowed down at some point because Val swipes at me and makes me bleed. There it is. But I am able to carry on here without it ending my run. Just make sure you're going as fast as possible, don't delay at all. If you do get hit, just like I'm doing here, don't stop to heal. Once you start standing up, it's a right turn out onto these planks. On the third plank, it's gonna collapse and it'll drop you into the water. So what I do here is immediately identify the close light. It's the one that's higher up than the campfire. And you're gonna walk straight towards it. There's gonna be some rocks in your way, but you wanna head in as straight of a line as possible to this light, and you shouldn't be chased by anyone. You do have to navigate slightly around some rocks, but it's nothing too difficult. Once you get to the tall light, then you just follow it along to this campfire, and you should be good to start climbing. I don't stop here to heal either, because it seems like they could follow you there. Once you slide down, you'll be near the ladder. This area might be safe, but I don't stop here either. I wait until I get to the top of the ladder to heal up. Okay, and after the very long Father Loutermilch section, you're gonna start with these guys beating people up. Just turn around, and you're gonna hug the right wall for a while. Once you see this light, it's another right turn, and then you want to stay straight until you get to this collapse. Once you get to this collapse, you're safe. And on to the last section in the apocalypse. Once you see Marta there, she'll start heading your direction. So I always wait here to make sure she gets into my room, and then head through the next door and take a left to where she came from. You'll see the collapse and take a right all the way to the end of the hall, and then it'll be like a left U-turn and you'll see the stairs to climb up. And up here you're just gonna head on through the doors here, and it will lead you to the very end of the game. After you trigger this, you are safe. Alright, so that is the last of the paths. If you got this far, congratulations. Hope this helped. Bye.